Hey Give and Go fam, we've partnered with Play On Sports to share with you the world's first soccer-specific pre-match beverage made to increase all aspects of your game. No more need to hit up a gas station for an overpriced energy drink. Let me introduce you to Play On. That's right, Play On. Play On combines hydration, focus, endurance, and long-lasting energy in one scoop. You can take this before your training sessions, matches, long or short runs, or cardio-based activities as you train for the beautiful game.
Yeah, man, I'm actually really excited to try this because, it says it's not just for soccer, but it's kind of like you said, like cardio-based activity, or honestly, even like weight training, which I've been trying to get into a lot recently. So I'm excited to just use this as like a pre-workout type of fuel. So yeah, I'm really excited to try it.
Yeah, and I like that the product is local to here in Austin. It's an Austin company.
Yeah, that's dope.
So that's pretty dope, man. You can visit playon-sports.com and score 25% off with discount code GIVEANDGO so you can play on no matter the pitch.
Coming into this season, I think what I can agree with is at the bottom of the table, I think definitely there's a lot more parity. But at the top of the table, I see the opposite.
Yeah, I agree.
I can already see the top four in the exact places that they'll be now at the end of the season.
For real?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So should we start there? Should we start at the bottom? Where should we go, man?
I want to start with the elephant in the room, bro, and that is the one and only Manchester City, bro. Yeah, that's what I want to start with.
The biggest question is, can they do it again? Will they do it again?
Yeah.
Will they win, the fifth Premier League out of the last 6 years at this point now? It's between Manchester City and Liverpool.
I think
they
so.
both are going through really interesting stages in terms of squad, because I feel like last season was the ultimate version of teams that were formed in years prior. The Man City team had a lot of elements that had been there for years now, had established players that have had a reputation at that club. Same with Liverpool. It was the same 11 up to that point.
You're right.
Salah, Mane, with inclusions of Jota, Firmino rotating out, and then Diaz, who came in during the middle of the season. Right. But it was really that same old Liverpool squad, And they're both mature versions of each other. And we saw an incredible battle between both these teams that went down to the final 30 minutes.
It's crazy.
And ultimately gave us the answer of Man City was the better team throughout that marathon of a season.
Yeah.
This season's different, man, because key players have been removed from not just one team, but from both. Yeah. We can start with Liverpool and how they lost Sadio Mane, who's a big game player for them, was crucial to their success offensively, and has been a prominent player in just the Liverpool system.
Yeah. You
look at Man City, they lose Fernandinho, who's a great captain for him, weighing out in a very similar fashion to Vincent Kompany as well. They just rotate these captains out, man. Yeah. Like old grandpas, just your time to go, grandpa.
Your time has come.
And they go out in fashion every fucking time, man.
Yeah.
But then they also lose Gabriel Jesus. They also lose Raheem Sterling, who between both of them was a guaranteed 30 goals a season. That's a big gap to fill, man.
Yeah.
Huge. And then who do they replace it with? They get Erling Haaland, the wonder boy of the season, the wonder boy of the world right now. Yeah. And they also make moves such as Julian Alvarez from Argentina, Calvin Phillips coming into that midfield, and they're rumored to still be active in the transfer market with Cucurella potentially coming.
Sure.
Liverpool, on the other hand, gets Darwin Núñez, Fabio Carvalho from Fulham, the midfielder. That sets up for what I think is going to be a really interesting season between both these teams, because I say all this to say one thing. We don't know how both these teams are going to perform. There's less confidence in this section, at least from my side, man. Right. I don't feel confident in neither side of Liverpool or Man City just being able to just jumpstart and kick off an incredible season. I think it's going to be bumpy for both teams to start.
I actually think the exact opposite. I had your thoughts going into last season. My concern last season was this is the same team of Manchester City, the same 11 that they've been using. How can they reinvigorate themselves, reinvent themselves to do it again for another 38 games when at the time Manchester United was knocking on the door, Liverpool was trying to avenge their past season. I was actually very worried about Manchester City, and obviously, like you said, it took them to the last 30 minutes on the final day to actually earn the right to win the title. Going into this season, bro, you said it yourself. There's a 30-goal gap that is missing when you lose Gabriel Jesus and Raheem Sterling. But they immediately replace it with a 30-goal monster in Erling Haaland. There is no doubt in my mind, none, that he's going to get minimum 30 goals just in the Prem. He's that good, and he has the tools around him to make it an even easier job for him. When you have De Bruyne feeding you, you're never going to be hungry. You're never going to be hungry, bro. Yeah. And I am guaranteed, I am certain that Haaland is just going to go off this season. And my second point to why I think City's just going to be just as good or even better, Jack Grealish has had an amazing preseason. Yeah. He has been incredible, bro. Like, if you're the guy who pushed to get Jack, last year you're like sweating, like, fuck. Did we just waste $100 million of the Queen's finest? Yeah. But seeing him just in these last 3 games in the States in preseason, you're like, that's my boy. Yeah. That's my boy, Jack. He's about to pop off this season to the point where, honestly, slightly hot take here, if Jack keeps going on the trajectory that he's on, and I know it's only preseason, but his touches have been immense. His dribbling has been really decisive. He's getting these assists, and he's getting fouled like every other touch because he's cunning, man. He's kind of finally finding his form. If he keeps going at this, I could see Jack being like top 2, top 3 players in the Premier League, alongside probably Kevin De Bruyne and Erling Haaland. I can see those 3 dominating this league to the point where no other team can compete. They're too good. I mean, if Jack ends up being that guy, the best winger in the Premier League, then you will have probably the 3 best players in the Premier League all playing on one team. We already know De Bruyne is probably top 2, if not the best player in the Prem. Yeah. If Haaland scores 30-plus goals, he will be the best striker in the Premier League. And if Jack Grealish can do what he's apparently destined to do, then that's an unstoppable offense. Unstoppable. No team, maybe Liverpool, but if you take into account the other 18 teams that play in this Premier League, no team will be able to take on Manchester City, to the point where I think this is their league this season to lose, solely because of the assets that they have. And when you compare them to Liverpool, I'm a little worried if I'm a Liverpudlian, man. Simply because they lost arguably their most consistent player over these last 5 years in Sadio Mane. And yes, you replace him with an insane prospect in Darwin Nunez, but they're very different players. And again, can Nunez really, really do it in the Premier League? Yeah. And I know you could say the same thing about Haaland, but in my opinion, Haaland was in a better league in the Bundesliga, whereas Nunez was in, I would say, a drastically worse league in Portugal. So for me, I'm worried if you're Liverpool, bro. Really, really worried, because can you go against that insane front 3 of Manchester City, and they still have Riyad Mahrez?
Oh, and Bernardo Silva.
Yeah. You're done.
They still have a lot. They still have a lot.
Any other team in the Premier League, you are done. Because Manchester City honestly look like they haven't missed a beat since lifting that title a couple months ago. They look completely fresh. They look determined. It's a World Cup year, so you know these players are going to be even more motivated to be in form, to be healthy. I think this is Manchester City's title all the way.
Yeah, and also you got to throw in, I guess you got to mention Luis Diaz for Liverpool, because he came in halfway through the season. You could count that as almost another sign.
You could.
But I get your point. Because when you think about it, man, Pep has a thing that he does with second-year players that he signed.
Oh, that's what I'm getting at. Yeah.
And Jack Grealish is already doing the same thing that Bernardo Silva did, that Riyad Mahrez did.
Sterling,
where they had slow first seasons. Yeah. And the second season, they ascended to fucking God's gates, bro.
Exactly.
It's very weird how that works and how it's a constant theme in Pep's system.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree that Jack, if they do manage to live up to that idea that you have of him, it's over, bro.
It's curtains.
It's over. Yeah. It's over. My thing is that in the Premier League, it's been very obvious in recent history that you can't lose back-to-back games. You can't tie back-to-back games. Yeah. That very often you are constantly tested to get the result that you need to get. Right. We see it with like when Liverpool would go up to Southampton and they're tied going to like the 60th minute, and then out of nowhere, Joel Matip gets a header and he wins the game for Liverpool. Right. That has to be done like a good 10 times throughout the season. Manchester City did it over and over again with players such as Gabriel Jesus. I've always noticed that when Manchester City was in a tight spot, when they needed that sort of result, it was Gabriel Jesus who would just step up for them and score that goal. Yeah. Sterling would come in, do his thing. Yeah. Kevin De Bruyne, and of course the usuals for Man City would do the job as well. But I have an innate concern attached to this Man City team that in the search of a title, you're always going to have a situation where you're going to be asked that question.
I see what you're saying.
Can you get that result? Can you get that goal?
Right.
And I just don't feel the confidence with Haaland yet that he is capable of doing that. We've talked about his injury history in the past. Will he even be available when that time is needed? In general, I'm just looking at this Man City team losing 2 key pieces to their squad and then replacing it with a gargantuan puzzle piece that, if it goes right, will skyrocket this league.
Right.
And that's the only question I have.
Yeah, I actually do see your point, and I can agree with it to a certain extent because you're right. You let go 2 of the players that have been within the system for, honestly, several years, and Pep could completely rely on them when he really needed to. And you're right, to not have that almost kind of veteran experience at that point, even though they're not that old, but just within the system, they really knew it well. To have that type of experience, you're right, is invaluable. You can't replace that.
Yeah.
Even though you're getting a guy who scores more goals than Jesus, right? Even though you're getting a guy in Jack Grealish who has way more potential than Raheem Sterling, you cannot guarantee that they'll have the same effect on the game.
Yes.
On said game, when it's over 90 minutes, when it's 1-1 and they need 3 points, can you rely on Grealish, who has not done it yet for City, right? He had very low goal scoring, very low assist rate last year, and what we said was already a rocky season for him specifically. So he doesn't have that history of doing it. And Haaland doesn't have the history of doing it in these really, really big situations. I mean, he being with Dortmund, he was always going to be, third place, second place?
Yeah.
He was never going to really fight for the title like he is going to have to at Manchester City. So you're absolutely right in that sense. But as you said, if this puzzle piece is figured out, then I think you could immediately say Haaland scores 30-plus goals, and he will immediately be deemed as the best striker in Europe. Yeah. That's where this is going to go. Haaland will either have a mediocre season where he did played well but could have done a lot more, or he ascends to God status and is the next best number 9 in Europe.
Dude, even if it's mediocre, I still see like 15 goals.
Right.
Which is insane.
That's the thing.
And what's really scary, bro, is that while everyone's off at the World Cup, risking their health and everything, Haaland's going to be sitting back just waiting to just torch these chumps once they get back to the Premier League after a crazy campaign at the World Cup, and he's just going to be there waiting. And he's just going to pick off where he left off. And I think that is why I do think there's a chance that he does cross that 30 goal benchmark, which is very tough to do, man.
Yeah.
But he has it in him to do it.
I think for me, I still have I have City winning the title, and for me, it's like very clear. Obviously, there's going to be bumps. It's going to be very competitive. I'm not saying this is going to be easy for City. It never is, usually. But I have them winning it. Okay. Ultimately, at the end, 38-game season, I have City lifting the trophy yet again. If you want to make out the next 3 that join them as the top 4 for Champions League qualification, I actually haven't thought about who would genuinely get second. I do think it'll be Liverpool solely because of the work that Klopp has put in these last, 6 years, 7 years now at Liverpool. Basically, what he has now is what Pep has at City. He has a genuine system where once you're a part of the squad and you do what Klopp says, you are damn near guaranteed success. Right, you give it your all. You're in a really good system. You're in a really good team, and obviously, you still have the quality of players like Mohamed Salah, Jota, Luis Diaz. Maybe Nunez really does go off, and even if he gets 15 to 20 goals, that's basically what Mane would get you. So if he can do that for Liverpool, Liverpool will immediately skyrocket themselves to compete for the Prem. So I actually still have Liverpool in second place solely because of the history, the squad that they have, and the managerial genius that is Jurgen Klopp.
It hurt me to do it, man. But yeah, I was thinking about the champion today. I really was thinking about it. Even last year, I really considered Liverpool potentially winning it. But I ultimately decided to go with Man City.
Yeah, okay.
Put my bias aside.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to have to do the same damn thing this season, man. It just sucks because, there's so much brilliance to what Liverpool has been able to do.
Brilliant, dude.
Brilliance. And the way that they've picked out players from low leagues and turned them into just the best in their positions. Bro. Alisson, Van Dijk, Andy Robertson, Trent Alexander-Arnold just come from the academy. The Mohamed Salah coming from Italy. Like the way they've done everything has been so incredible.
Yeah.
And Man City is also there's a lot of brilliance in what Man City has done. True. I mean, you see how other clubs with that much money, how they've gone about spending their money, like PSG, and there definitely is an element of magic to Man City that we can't let the money get in the way of. But I think it's just more pure with Liverpool. And
yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And it's tough to, in a way, just kind of go with the side that ultimately is in a better position because of their finances, but also because they got geniuses at the helm as well. So I'm going Man City, man. Yeah. I'm going Man City wins the Premier League, and it hurts. It's tough, and it's also slightly grim. But it's really the only thing I see happening this season.
It really is, because Liverpool have arguably played some of the best football in Europe, bro, for the last several years. Some of the most beautiful football, and they still can't win a title realistically in the Premier League.
Domestically. Crazy, man.